What's up, guys? This is Hitchy Good, your favorite all-American, well, democracy-loving gamer now, and today we're going to answer the question, is the hype over Helldivers 2 actually real? With so many games coming and going, garnering hundreds of thousands of players in their first month and then being abandoned, it's hard to decide which games are actually going to be worth your time. So, that being said, let's down a cup of Liberty, discover why friendly fire isn't, and stratagem our way right into this. So the reason I haven't made a video on this yet is because I actually can't find time to stop playing the game and make the freaking video. But we're going to go over why Helldivers 2 is taking the gaming industry by storm and wrecking AAA titles with millions more in personnel and in budget. And I think that's the exact reason that the game devs aren't focused on money that we love this game. So reason number one that I think Helldivers 2 lives up to the hype is because of, well, friendship. That and the feeling that the devs are actually gamers themselves, not six-figure income marketing developers with psychology majors looking over their shoulders and telling them how to manipulate gamers into playing the game for longer. It's not how it works. That's what the AAA gaming market is today. It spends millions of dollars trying to figure out how to drain and squeeze every single dime from the player in an attempt to drive profits. And so many, including me, at some point in time, we fall for it. Or maybe we just put up with it in an attempt to just have fun like we did when we were kids. And for a long time, I thought it was just the fact that I grew up and no longer cared for gaming. Or perhaps the magic of gaming disappeared with my adolescence. But Helldivers 2 proves that nope, you can still have just as much fun today, and it's actually the marketers, the psychologists, and all the freaks over at Sweet Baby that have robbed the fun from gaming. And Helldivers 2 is just like taking a fresh breath of air after falling into a puddle that I can't escape from.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, and you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
That's literally probably my only complaint about the game so far. But rant aside, another reason the game is captivating is just because of its genuine charm. And this is all brought across in the narrative. And yeah, the overall tone makes me feel like this is what could have conceivably happened had George W. Bush had orbital lasers at his disposal.
This will not be a campaign of half measures, and we will accept no outcome but victory.
But the hilarious aesthetic of never questioning authority, us versus them, overt nationalism is highly overstated, and it's really funny as hell. And because this is a PvE experience, and of course, hugs, the community is flat out awesome. I've never seen an abundance of memes about one video game that's only been out for a little over a month.
I named my ship the SES Wings of Redemption. Damn.
Obviously, don't go and do that.
You do whatever you like.
We can't condone anything of the sort.
No, we can't. Live! Live! Is this really necessary, Skull Admiral? Silence, Cadet. I have him in my sights.
I mean, look at all this. There's fan-made propaganda posters. There's a ton of memes. The community has actually made their own patches to display as their own brigades, which is pretty freaking cool, which I think the game is eventually going to have like a clan system, which that's going to look awesome if this gets implemented correctly. Hell, I mean, there's even sea shanties to dive into.
Liberty, liberty, for all to be free. We dive through the stars, the Helldivers are we.
It's absolutely crazy how much content has been made from the community, and that kind of leads me into the next point, you know. This game doesn't need 1 ounce of marketing. Other than 2 intro trailers, it's been almost exclusively pushed by word of mouth of, bro, you gotta play this. And that's honestly what got me in as well. And the gameplay is, honestly, it's overwhelmingly satisfying. The feel of the guns, the particle effects, the massive explosions, the ability to not need an incredible amount of UI filling up your screen keeps everything grounded and immersive. For instance, many games have numbers flying around your enemies showing how much damage they've taken, but with Helldivers, well, you don't really need that. You just look at your enemy and you can literally tell how close they are to dying just through what they look like and how they're moving. So, you know, yeah, sure, there are some movement mechanics that could, you know, need cleaning up here and there, but that's minuscule compared to how much there is to love about the gameplay. And I'm telling you guys, the sound design is absolutely amazing. The sound that the robots make, the guttural growls that come out of the Terminids is something that actually kind of instills fear when you're running around. And more than anything, that just sweet, epic music when you're dropping into a hot fight. Dang it, y'all. Even after a long night of gaming, that intro music and the weight of it all hits just as hard, and it seems like this next round is going to be the battle to end all battles. And quite honestly, it usually is. And Helldivers 2 really scratches that itch to satisfy the male urge to go and lay down your life for another, except you get to do it over and over and over again. But one thing about the game design as well, this is pretty cool. Something I didn't know before, and I've hardly been able to tell when anything really gets duplicated on these maps, which is pretty wild because all of these maps are procedurally generated. And what's crazy about that is they're remarkably seamless once completely put together. That seems like something that would be incredibly hard to do, to have such a varying landscape and yet it all flows and you can't even tell that it's procedurally generated. That's wild. And it really makes us feel like we're on a huge planet that we're never really truly going to fully explore. Also, the developers at Arrowhead are obviously excited about their player base being excited about their game. That is overwhelmingly apparent. These guys are executing a live service game the way it's supposed to work. Instead of introducing, you know, timed rollouts of an endless number of seasons and new ways to give the devs money, the updates sometimes aren't even listed. Yeah, they'll give patch notes and stuff, but a lot of times people log into the game and you organically find out about whatever new things happen in the world. And then it goes crazy on Reddit and that's their marketing. That's all the marketing. They don't have to pump out these awesome trailers. It is just all word of mouth. Even when the devs comment on new things that, you know, they do it from the perspective of the Ministry of Truth, saying things like, these reports of blue lights need to be reported to your democracy officer, or something to that effect. And it just plunges the immersive narrative even deeper into the minds of you, the player. These devs actually love their game, and that's really refreshing. They love their game and not so much the money that it's bringing in. And I gotta say, you know, I haven't bought a Battle Pass style DLC since 2019, and I bought one for Helldivers. It wasn't being constantly thrown in my face to buy this, buy that. Your friends are gonna think you're cool if you just pay us more money and buy this skin that you can't even see in the game. Instead of making the game fun, game studios like Activision have to introduce a massive amount of crossover content to try and entice Nicki Minaj fans to play, Walking Dead fans to play, Marvel Studios fans to play. The list goes on and on and on. It's literally the junk food of gaming. It's 500 miles wide to capture an audience, but only about 4 inches deep when it comes to player experience. But Helldivers doesn't do that, at least not very much. I think the only celebrity I've seen in Helldivers is Jada Smith right here, but I honestly figured that Will would be lurking in the shadows somewhere just waiting for some action to start, but they haven't added that in just yet. The very first thing you read on the website for Arrowhead, it goes hard. A game for everyone is a game for no one. This is it's plastered on the front of their website. That's the first thing you see. This is their mantra, because so many developers spend time trying to chase that next trend and, you know, quote unquote beat Call of Duty, that they completely lose the identity of their games and their audience. And that's why Battlefield has sank so low, and it's never-ending percent to try and beat COD or whatever else is out there. We didn't want COD when 2042 came out. We wanted Battlefield. But the good news here is that Helldivers is changing the narrative on that, because Helldivers retains its own identity, and that's why it's so unique. They're not chasing the next big craze. They're creating it by respecting their player base and running a live service game as it should be ran, and not trying to extract every dime from their customers on a continual basis. So, you know, I bought their war bonds because, heck, they gave me a $70 game for $40, and they're doing a hell of a job. So let's reward that behavior. Hell, what other CEO do you know that says, hey guys, we're having problems on our servers, just wait to buy the game because we want you to have the best experience possible when you do? I've never heard a CEO say that about a game ever. And right there would make me want to pull out my debit card right then and there and buy whatever he's selling, right? I'll find out later how cool it is, even if it sits on my computer for a week or two. The devs have built up a massive amount of goodwill with the player base, and as one of the only games to do so in the last several years, it's actually making a pretty huge impact, especially when you look at Call of Duty. And not only their $30 skins, but also the fact that the amount of currency you can buy never winds up with any of their microtransactions. You always have to buy more currency than what you need, and once you do buy that skin or buy that bundle, then you're left over with not enough currency to buy anything else, which leads to buying another chunk of COD points, buying another skin, and getting stuck in a never-ending cycle of never being able to spend all your points. It is 100% predatory. It is 100% sleazy. But with Helldivers, you want to buy the next war bond? Sure, $10 even. Buys it, you can go out in the world, or you can go out in the world and earn it your own way just by finding the super credits. They're everywhere. I bought my first war bond, and by the time I got around to actually wanting the next one, I had enough super credits to spend on it. It doesn't take that long to build up. The devs at Arrowhead are actually appreciating the player base, and it's not going unnoticed. I learned that not long ago. You know, some game developers pitched an idea to Microsoft about a Halo game that has the exact same play loop as Helldivers 2, and some were remarking over, oh man, Microsoft must be pissed that they just let this get away from them. They missed out on this awesome idea. And yeah, maybe they're pissed, but them being pissed is pretty much in vain, and that's because Microsoft would have royally screwed this game up. It's not the gameplay loop that has enticed so many people to stay. It's not even a gameplay loop that I particularly like. It's the game devs that care about their community. Just look at the player numbers. By now, you all know that Helldivers hit its peak. I think it was like 427,000 players, somewhere around there. Most games would dive bomb after achieving a goal like that. That is no small number. In fact, you know, honestly, the way the entire industry works, if anything were to peak at 427,000 players, it would nosedive really fast. No game is free from that inevitable and sheer drop-off of players before finding its real, actual player base. Except for Helldivers. And sure, this might change in the future, but looking at other games that have popped off in the past, the ones that have rode a huge wave of popularity and then fell off a cliff, Helldivers really hasn't lost much of its player base at all. In fact, that's kind of an anomaly in the gaming world right now. What's strange is the fact that players that reach level 50 and do everything there is to do in the game, unlock every stratagem, and upgrade every ship module, they're mostly staying around, at least for right now anyways. They're finding new challenges or just carrying noobs on their backs for the fun of it. And that's really not the norm of the gaming industry so far. Only time will tell if that's going to continue to hold up, but so far so good. And on top of this, the devs of Helldivers,
you know what? I'm about to say it.
They don't give two shits about inclusiveness and the woke agenda. At the end of the day, we're all Helldivers, and that's enough. And that's what's refreshing about this. And the community agrees. You're probably aware that a guy got booted from their Discord for asking for LGBT flags, LGBTQ, WXYRZ, whatever flags in their games. And of course, they play the victim, and they go everywhere else. They go on Steam crying, saying, "I only asked for one cape. It was just one cape is all I wanted." Let me tell you, I don't care if you ask for one cape or 500 capes, because that shit doesn't matter. Because we know the game you little shits play, and because one cape would never, ever be enough, no amount of affirmation, no amount of virtue signaling would ever satisfy this insatiable and unhealthy desire for the world to worship you. So no, absolutely not. You can't have one cape. If the devs bow to one demand from the woke community, that's it, right? It's just the start. It's blood in the water for a small subset of humanity to go, oh look, there's another place we can go propagate our agenda and demand everyone bow to us, let's go. And not to mention, I thought about this a little bit, But listen, for anybody crying that they can't publicize who they decide to sleep with to the entire rest of the world, the devs here are probably protecting you. That's right. Can you imagine what this community would do if every single player sporting a gay, trans, or pedo flag on their person? Yeah, be glad they're denying this from you, because if they didn't, it would basically be a 500-kilogram bomb on your so-called, quote-unquote, mental health. So I'm really tired of these entitled brats just trying to put their life choices in everyone's faces, because we don't care. And the fact that the devs are just saying no is extremely refreshing, because back in the day it used to be, well, you shouldn't care what we do in our bedrooms, and nobody did. But now that it's to the point that you will affirm us, not only affirm us, but you will bow down and celebrate all of our life decisions at every moment, or we will cancel you and we will take away the ability for you to feed your family. That's what people are pissed off about, and that's what people are tired about. And I think seeing this game just remain non-political or apolitical is just so awesome. We play games to get away from politics in the real world, not to be reminded of it. And before you say, oh, well, this game is political, Helldivers doesn't link itself to any outside world references that would be considered political. Yeah, the Helldivers are killing bugs for element 710, which is obviously what you see on an upside down oil cap under the hood of your car, but it's not directly waving American flags around it. It's not specifically linking it to another nation. Even with religion, like in Far Cry 5, yes, there's the mention of religion. Actually, it's pretty much what the story revolves around, but it's not quote unquote religious in that context, because it makes no mention of any real church that exists in the real world. So just to wrap this up, on a personal standpoint, I want titles like Call of Duty to be awesome again. I really loved that franchise, and when they came out in 2019 with Modern Warfare, I thought, oh, here's the chance to jump back in and have fun. But one of the biggest reasons I waited to hop back on to Call of Duty was because I knew I was going to have to spend tens of hours leveling up my guns just to be competitive in what I really wanted to play, which was Warzone. And then when I did get to that level, I have one awesome night of Warzone play, and then the next night, the game says, nope, no more fun for you, and puts me in an MLG lobby where I can't even win 25% of my gunfights. It makes AAA gaming the junk food of video games. It's bad for your psyche. You spend 10 hours playing to have 1 hour of fun, but with Helldivers, it's fun from the moment you launch in to one of the most awesome music scores of your freaking life, and lasts all the way through to you being surrounded by an impossible amount of bugs and bots that want to eat your face. And it's honestly one of the few games that impossibly challenging actually feels fun. But I want to know what you think. Have you played Helldivers 2 yet? Are you about to pull the trigger on it? And what do you think of the game so far? I do want you to list your opinions below in the comments, and I do my absolute best to respond to each and every one of those comments. But make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell to support your all-American, democracy-loving gamer. That being me, hit you good. God bless.